Welcome back to Run It Back, Season 2. I am your co-host, Josh Barnett, along with my co-host, Mateen Cleaves. Mateen, how you doing?
Oh, yeah. Let's do it, baby. If you're trying to win, tap in. Let's go.
Hey, that's become a staple down here at 19.9 every morning. If you're trying to win, tap in. It comes from you, brother. We appreciate it. But today we have a Louisville legend. This is our youngest guy that we've ever had on here. Brett was telling me off camera. So
Young
as
buck.
we were, as we were looking back, we actually got a guy that can still play. Like that's a rarity for us now. But we have Louisville legend, the pride of Seattle, Peyton Siva. How you doing, Peyton?
I'm good, man. Thank you guys for having me on. I'm glad I can still be considered young. So
take it for however many more years you can get it. For Run It Back, we always like to start with our guests kind of in their basketball origin story, for lack of a better term, and how you guys started. And we know you're from Seattle, and Seattle's been on the map for 20 years with players like Jamal Crawford, yourself, Paolo now. What kind of brand of basketball distinguishes Seattle? Is there a brand of basketball, or is there certain characteristics from what you guys bring, you Seattle guys bring to the court that's different than other regions in the United States?
I mean, we just like a jack of all trades. I mean, you have, like you said, Jamal Crawford, you have the Jason Terrys. I think a lot of times people get caught up in how athletic the guys from Seattle are. You know, you had Nate Robinson, Zach LaVine, myself. I was pretty athletic when I was, coming through college. And,
Brandon Roy,
B. Roy, Porter now, DeJounte, just guys of that nature. Martell Webster. We had a bunch of guys. Aaron Brooks. We had a bunch of athletic guys, quick guys. But we also had, other guys like Ronnie Stuckey, and the list goes on. I think I said Jason Terry, shooters. We had a kind of a jack of all trades area where, whatever you wanted, we had. So I think that was it was great to grow up in that and that rich basketball community, and I was blessed to be a part of it.
Now, hold on, man. Now, you just going to sit up here and name drop and just show out on us like that. All these great players from Seattle, come on, man. That's impressive. I mean, from one city, and I know, because I go way back. I'm an old school cat, and I played in Seattle, so I know the cats that have come out here. Now, let me ask you this, Peyton. If there's an open gym, okay, and you got all these great players in the gym that you just named, who getting the call, man? Who's going to get all the calls in that gym that day?
Oh, for sure, probably Jamal. He's kind of the ambassador for Seattle basketball. Him and Jet, they're probably like two staples up there. Guys who just like the OGs. I mean, you have Doug Christie, but those guys are the ones that people still young and old kind of remember, like, all right, those are the guys. And, they still hoop to this day. Like, Jamal will give you buckets in the open gym today. And those are the guys that would, get the calls. Everybody else will kind of have a little hard time because you're going to have to argue with everybody. But those are the guys who get the main calls.
And the reason why I asked that question is because, I remember growing up and playing, and even being back at Michigan State, and Magic would come back, and he would just cheat, man. If he missed a shot, it was a foul, and it was just funny. But out of respect, we didn't argue because it is Magic Johnson. So I always like to ask some of the young bucks that, and especially I want to ask you that, being in Seattle with all the great players that you guys had.
Oh, for sure, man. It's amazing, man. The people that. I grew up going to our late night Rainier Community Center, and we had great players like Maul would play, like Brandon Roy. We had the twins, Logic and Roderick in high school, Terrence Williams, guys who didn't have the bigger names in the NBA, but just as much talent and could have been there. But it was fun just watching them grow up and always wanted to be on that court. And then when I finally got a chance to step on that court as I got older, I had to earn my calls to stay away. But it was humbling just because you learn the ropes from those guys, and you learn there's levels to it, and just buys your time. But those guys are great, man. they're very tight knit, and they look after you. So it's amazing.
How much of an impact did having the Supersonics there while you were growing up have on not just on you but on the community?
It was amazing, man. I would say for the basketball community, it was huge. I mean, the Sean Kemp built a outside basketball court right across the street from my house in the inner city of Seattle on Junkins, where I grew up. And I would go to that court every day, and that was where after school I would go there and play, and with my friends. And then you had Gary Peyton, who would, his son played in all the, little leagues, CD Panthers, Rotary, and he would come to the games. And actually, seeing those guys in person, it was amazing as a basketball player, just because those are guys on TV, those are guys at the top of the top. Unfortunately, they left. The Sonics moved to OKC, but for the community, the basketball community, they were very important. Yeah. I mean, even for me as a youngster, I went to a game, and I still remember to this day, Reggie Evans pointed me out in the stands and gave me a ball. That at the end of the game, I was just a little kid, and I still have that ball. And a lot of people might not know who Reggie Evans is, but I mean, for me, I was, no matter if I played 2K or whatever, he was on my team after that day. So that's what they kind of meant to the community. But when they had it rolling, man, it was good times in Seattle. But yeah.
Yeah. And Reggie Evans, I played with Reggie in Seattle. He was a straight dog. He one of those cat you want on your team, but you would hate to play against. He was that's the kind of, that's the kind of cat he was. Let me ask you this before we move on, but because all the great tradition, all these great players that we've seen on TV, we've seen win championships. It got to be a player that didn't quite make it out, that just had game. Like who's one of those guys, one or two guys that out of Seattle had straight game, but wasn't quite as lucky. I won't say lucky. Didn't quite make it out as you thought they would.
From basketball, I mean, from when I was growing up, I would say probably Reggie Moore. He was a guy that went to O'Day and then went to Rainier Beach, which has a plethora of players. He ended up going to Washington State, but he was amazing when I grew up. He's one of the most athletic guys I ever played against, had it all. It just didn't work out for him at Washington State, but he's doing big things with his clothes, his sky blue. But I would say him. And we were a guard heavy. Him, Mark McLaughlin, another guy who I grew up with. He was a hell of a scorer. But just little names like that, and even guys who did make it but just didn't last long. Like my favorite player growing up was Marcus Williams. He went to the University of Arizona. And
nice.
I was good friends with him, and I got a chance to watch him personally every day in practice. So those are a couple guys that was just like, man, they definitely should have had a better career at that point. It's just some things didn't work out, but I'm sure there's plenty of other guys down the line that we keep naming, but those are the guys that kind of stuck out to me. That I was like, damn.
So one thing stood out to me when I was doing my research for this pod on your high school numbers is you guys won a state championship your freshman year, won another state championship your senior year. You averaged 13 as a freshman, and then only 18. I say only 18 in no disrespect, but only 18 as a senior. But your averages were like 18, 5, and 5 as a senior, but yet you were Mr. Basketball in the state. You were a McDonald's All-American. You were a top 30 recruit. Can you please talk to right now, give you this platform to talk to youth basketball parents right now that their kid does not have to shoot every single time to be the man and get the accolades at the end when it's all said and done?
I mean, for sure. So that came with my high school coaches, man, from Rotary program to my high school coach, Jason Kerr, who they really shaped who I became as a basketball player. They helped me understand that basketball was a team sport, the team concept. Like there was games where I could have scored 30 points or try to go I had 45 against Rainier Beach when we needed to, but it was to the point where, like, for me, it was all about winning. And I knew that at a younger age that if I won, everybody's going to have success. And that's what I wanted. I wasn't the type of guy who was very selfish, who, wanted all the accolades for myself. My main thing was like, I'm trying to get everybody who's around me to college or to get looked at or anything. I wasn't the type of guy that really liked all the attention on myself. So, in my high school team, the tallest guy was probably like 6'2", 6'3". So I would play center. I would play whatever coach needed me to play. But we went out there and competed, and that was fun for me. So like you said, I would tell parents, man, coaches know if you can play or not. Like, you don't go out there and shoot 20, 30 shots and get 20 points. Like they understand that, they see that, they know it. And for me, I learned, like, no, man, if you go out there and be very efficient in what you do, they see that. And I see it now to this day. Like, if you can be efficient as a player, people understand that. And if you're winning, that just magnifies you even more. And that took me all the way to college. It's like, I don't need to go out there and try to shoot every shot, because then, you got 8, 10 other people on your team that can play also, but now you're taking away from them. And that's kind of been my mentality. And some people have different mentalities where, like, yeah, I'm the man, I'm going to shoot every time. But that's just how I felt was the right way to play basketball. And it kind of carried to me.
I want to turn that over to Mateen too, because I want his take on that, because I got 2 great point guards on the line. So I got to get point guard perspective on that. You agree? I know you agree with everything that he just said, Mateen.
100%. And when he was talking, he was talking my language. I mean, if you listen to what he was saying, he was just talking about winning. He didn't care about nothing but winning, getting everybody else involved, getting the other guys scholarships. And that's why he won in high school. That's why he won a national championship in college, because it's that mentality. Now, I like how humble he is, because if I would have had 45 in the game, I would have put some sunglasses on when I answered that question. But
well, you did notice that he did come out. He led with that first, after I kind of said like only 18. Then he led with it, and then he filled in the blanks.
Yeah, he was like, Josh, let me let you know I have 45. Yeah. So I could go get 45 when I wanted to, but I just wanted to win the game. But no, I think his mentality, and I think that's what make him so great. I mean, quarterbacks and point guards are judged on wins and losses, and that's what it's about. And just hearing him, I know I watched him from afar, but I'm not surprised that that's the mentality that he had, and not surprised why he's always had success.
So coming out of high school, McDonald's All-American, and a lot of these guys, these Seattle guys that have been mentioned already, through already in the pod, I should say, all stayed out west. You mentioned Arizona and Washington State and UW and some of those. How did you get to, 2-part question, how did you get to Louisville? And then we'll obviously we're going to need a Rick Pitino recruiting story.
Yeah. So, I gotta correct you. It's Louisville. You got to say it like with your mouth full of food, man. It's weird when you live out here, but
I'm not too far from you. I'm in Evansville.
No.
So I'm shocked that I messed that up. And here in Evansville, it's Louisville.
Yeah. Tell the people who like actually but so Terrence Williams, who's from Seattle, came out here to Louisville, and I got a chance to watch him play. A big thing for me, I wanted to stay out west. I'm a Seattle guy. UW was a high on my list of where I want to go, because I love Romar, who's an amazing coach, who's an amazing guy, first and foremost. He's a man of God, and I really appreciate that from him. But they had too many guards there. They had, Abdul Gaddy had just committed there, who was a 5-star recruit, who's a good friend of mine. They had Isaiah Thomas there, who is also from Tacoma area, who is a hell of a player in his own right, as people know.
Yeah.
They had another guy, my teammate, Vinoy Overton, who was also there, who was my high school backcourt mate. And, I was looking at them, I was just like, there's just not a lot of room for me. And I think they had another guard too, but so I wanted to stay out west, but then, something kind of drew me to the East Coast, just because at the time the Big East was crazy. They had about 10 tournament teams and they were up there with the ACC and where like talent was. And at that point, they probably was ahead of them with tournament teams and everything.
For sure. Yep.
And as a West Coast kid, I kind of grew up, you kind of hear the stigmatism behind it. They're kind of soft, or they play flashy, or in this and that. And East Coast was more rugged, you know, outside blacktop, like they're gonna get after you. You gotta be tough. So for me, I kind of want to go out there and prove myself, like, all right, if that's what I'm missing, if that's where, you know, I want to go out and prove myself, like I've done it on the West Coast, let me go out here and show the world that I can do it, and show the country I can do it. And that was what drew me to Louisville. And plus, you know, watching them play, I loved it, you know. And here's a funny story also. I hated defense growing up and playing in high school. And I was getting recruited by UCLA, and the coach was Ben Holland, I think, at the time.
Holland, yeah.
And all they were known for is just like defense. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to play defense. And watching Louisville, you see them press. You don't really see like how much defense they play, because they play so fast and they get up and down the court, and their pressing is not really, it doesn't really look like defense. But, you know, I found out shortly after I got to college, that's all it really was. So, you know, that's when I chose there. But that was really why I loved the style. They were playing free. They had Edgar Sosa on that team, who I just loved. And, you know, him as a freshman was amazing. Coach P, it looked like he was just playing with so much freedom and flair, and he had that swagger about him. He's from Dykeman, New York area, and loved to watch him play. But it really drew me to Louisville. And then, you know, Rick Pitino, he just had the name and the charisma about him. I mean, you saw the white suit for white out. Everybody thought he was this mob boss. And I was just like, man, that dude looks cool to play for. And I met him. And it was a funny thing that about Coach P, is that story I tell people, that he didn't really care who you were. He treated you the same as he would treat everybody. And it kind of reminded me of my high school coach. I went in there for a recruiting trip, and I had a hat on. And he was like, is it raining in here? And I was in the practice facility. I haven't committed or anything. I was just on a recruiting trip. And I was like, no, what are you talking about? He goes, is it raining? It's like, no. He goes, then why the hell do you have a hat on? And I was like, damn. I was like, you know, coaches usually try to like kiss up the players, kind of be like, you know, this and that. And he was like, no, this is who I am. This is how I run things. Like, why are you doing that? I was like, all right, I can kind of respect that. It was like kind of a little intimidating, but I can respect it. Like, he's not going to treat you any more special than anybody else. And I was like, all right, I like where this guy is. And, you know, just kind of went that way.
Wow. Now I know, I mean, being a McDonald's All-American, first of all, that's a big deal. And I remember getting my letter, you know, in high school in class, and my coach brought me the letter and said, I made it. I was ecstatic. So that's when you're a McDonald's All-American, that's a big deal. And so being that, I know you got recruited by a lot of other coaches. Who was one of the coaches that I would say it was hard to say no to, like let them know that you were going to go to a different school?
Romar, easily. Him and Cameron Dollar. You know, I was really close to Dollar. He was the guy that kind of recruited me to University of Washington, to the point like, look, I was a 5-10 minute drive from University of Washington from my house. So I was up there every day. I was in their open gym with them. I was at every game. I was in their student section. I was jumping up and down. Like, I was living the college life, man, college experience. And I loved that school. And I mean, you know, and they had guys like, you know, Trey Simmons, Brandon Roy, Will Conroy, Nate Robinson. All those guys were in my era growing up, where I got to actually watch them play, and they were turning it out at UW. And I was like, man, I want to be a part of that. And plus the Pac-10 at the time was, you know, crazy also. So when I had to make that call to Cam, it was hard, man. I didn't want to. I was like, I don't want to, like, I'm like a people pleaser, so I didn't want to like disappoint them. I was like, damn, man. But my coach was just like, no, you have to, you know, man up. You have to show them that respect. I mean, they put the time in with you. So that's the courtesy call. And I remember I was driving. I went to like Wendy's, and I was like in the drive-thru, and I was like, call. And my friend was there with me. It's like, man, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. So it was hard, man. It was tough, but I made that call to him, and I told him like, hey, look, man, I'm going to commit to University of Louisville. And Richard Pitino was recruiting me from University of Louisville, and I called him right after that, and he was on his honeymoon. So that was a gift for him. And he answered my call, and it was probably like 2:00 in the morning, but he was happy to accept that call at that time. His wife.
Damn right, it was a gift for him.
So we had Peyton, we had Mark Pope, who coaches at BYU now, but he played for Pitino, Coach Pitino, 96 Kentucky, that great 96 Kentucky team. We had him on last season, and he talked about how demanding Coach Pitino was, how tough he was, and then he talked about how much he loved him too. Can you give us your experience playing for Coach Pitino once you got on campus, after the recruiting stuff and you got there and you started playing for him? Can you give us a peek behind the scenes of what it was like to play for a college basketball legend?
I hated every minute playing for him, but I loved him off the court. We had that relationship where it doesn't matter what I'm doing on the court. I can go out there, I can have 5 steals, I can have 10 assists. He was going to get on me like I had 0, 0, 0, 0, like I was the worst player. But as I learned through my freshman and sophomore year, it was really tough. But as I got older, my junior year, my senior year, like it got a lot easier. But we kind of built that relationship and that rapport. Like I kind of understood, and this was one of my biggest things I learned in college was listen to the message and not the way the message is being delivered. Just because that was his passion, and he wouldn't be the coach who he is today without his passion on the court and how he gets after it, how he, screams and yells. That's just who he is on the court. And I learned that, my freshman, sophomore year, like off the court talking to him. He's an amazing guy. He's a guy you can hang out with all day, but on the court, that's how he gets up for the game. Just like a player, how they get up for the game, that's how he gets up for it. And I learned the message behind it and not the way he was delivering it. And, it was a great tool for me that I learned. And once I kind of figured that out, everything else was easy. Everything else just came natural. The press, the demand that he had on the point guards, because you're an extension of the coach out there. You have to know what the coach is thinking, and you have to relay that message to the other guys on the court. So it was tough, I would say, at the beginning, just because, high school is a whole different beast than when you get to college. It's the same as when you go to the NBA or in Europe. There's levels to it, and just the schemes. Like we pressed after a 2-point shot, we had one press. After a free throw, we had a different press. After a 3-point shot, it was a whole different press. And it's like, how the hell are you supposed to think of all this and then do it and then run the offense on the other end? So it was tough, but once I got the hang of it, man, once I learned it, it just became second nature to me. And I was never unprepared for a game playing for him. Like I knew everything. That guy had us so ready to play teams that it was like I would tell other players, like, hey, you're not supposed to be right here in the court. Like, you're supposed to be in the corner. So it was good, man. I would say that was my experience with Coach.
That's great. And I had something similar with Coach Izzo. It's like we'll go to his office. He was so laid back and caring. And I'm like, get to practice, and he's hollering and screaming. I'm like, well, damn, you just told me 5 minutes ago you love me. Like, where is this coming from? But so I know where you're going with that. You said freshman and sophomore year. So let me ask you your freshman year, because being a McDonald's All-American, being one of the best at what you do, was there a player or a team where you realized, well, damn, college is a little different. Like these players are really good, or these teams are good. Was there anybody that jumped out to you, any team or player, when you realized college was different than high school?
Yeah. So when I got there, Edgar Sosa was a senior.
Yeah.
They were we had a lot of seniors on that team. We had Edgar Sosa, Jerry Smith, we had Reggie Dell, Smarto Sammy was there, he's a sophomore. We had a bunch of guys that were older, so they knew Coach Pitino's system. And Coach P likes to tell this story also, but they pressed me in practice all the time where I don't think I got the ball over half court. I think I was turning the ball. He loves to tell people I set the turnover record for any guard he ever had in practice. When I tell you I think they were scheming on me. Now I think they just didn't want me to play, so they were just pressing and grabbing the shit out of me. And you're a freshman, you don't get calls. So like I mean, I had nightmares, man, going against that press. They were long, it was strong, and it was like I can't get over half court. I'm throwing the ball everywhere. We had a couple other freshmen, and we're going against these guys. They won the Big East championship. They've been there. They've been to the tournament. They've been to Sweet 16, Elite 8. Like, so they're battle tested. Here I come in, bright-eyed, bushy tail, and they took advantage of me. But that's when I realized, like, all right, college is different, man. And then we played at UNLV my freshman year, and that place was rocking. I was like, I think that was my first actual road game, and I was like, yeah, okay, this isn't high school anymore. This is.
Well, so fast forward a little bit. So we get through freshman and sophomore year. Some of those early battles that you just talked about led up to some big moments for you. Can you take us back, because you were two-time Big East MVP, the first MVP through the Big East tournament, Madison Square Garden, to do it, in all of all the places in the world to do it. That's probably it. Can you walk us back through that experience, and then maybe talk about like how being battle tested by those guys and being battle tested by some of the teams that you guys played built up to that moment for you to kind of get over the hump and establish yourself as a Louisville legend? Yeah,
man, the Big East tournament, man, it was played in the Mecca, the Madison Square Garden, and that's Coach P's home, man. So we lost my first year in the first round in Cincinnati, which was tough. And I played a little bit in that game. My second year, we played UConn, and we were playing well. We played well against UConn. That was Kimba's magic year.
Yep.
And I had messed up my ankle, and it's already hard enough guarding Kimba, but doing that on that was a damn near impossible task. They beat us by, I think, 3, and hell, you see the year that they had Kimba. They went to they just played amazing, but that next year, my junior year, I was struggling a little bit throughout the season. Dealing with injuries, dealing with everything. And Coach P, this is why I love him so much. He pulled me into his office and was just like, look, no one's going to remember what you did before this. We live in a microwave society. They're only going to remember what you do now. And I was like, all right, bet. And I went to that first game and never looked back. I ended up winning the Big East. We ended up winning the Big East championship. I won the MVP. Everything. I was making floaters. I was getting steals. I think I averaged like 4 steals a game during that run. Everything was clicking. And that led us to a Final Four that year. But the next year, the same thing. It's like, all right, we're coming back here. Like, we did it before. Why can't we do it again? And I always kept what Coach B said. Like, no one's going to remember what you did through the season. They're going to remember what you do now. And I was having a really great run. Like I told you guys earlier, winning take care of everything. I wasn't out there getting 20 points. I wasn't out there getting 15 assists a game. I was out there just playing hard, trying to do everything I can. I think, I was scoring and getting my assists, but we had such a good team that everybody was playing well. And sure behold, they gave me the MVP again. I think I was the only one at the time. Me and Patrick Ewing was the only 2 Big East players to ever get that award, to win it back to back.
Pretty good company.
Hey, that's not bad. That's not bad at all.
I can just throw these names out here like, oh yeah, me and Patrick Ewing. Like, come on, baby. Ain't nobody doing that.
That was big time. And my senior year was even crazier because we were down 17 at halftime. At halftime, I think it was to Syracuse. We was down 17 at one point, and we came back and won by like 15, 16 points. And that was no bum team. Like it was a championship game, and Syracuse lost on the buzzer to go to the Final Four that year. So it was. I think they did go to the Final Four. But it was a big time game and we came back and won, and that really helped propelled us to where we went to in the tournament that year.
Yeah, and let me ask you this, because that, like, the Final Four, and we'll get to the second one, but the first one, like, you talk about this as a kid. You dream about this as a kid. That moment, when they come out with those hats and you throw the hat on, and explain to some of our listeners or viewers and everybody that's going to watch this or listen to this, explain to them that feeling, because it's nothing like it.
No, man, it's no better feeling, just because we lost the first 2 years in the first round, got knocked off. So to win those games And that year we went to the Final Four my first year. I'm sorry to say it, but we beat Michigan State that year in Florida.
Oh, I remember.
Oh, and that was, I mean, that was Draymond's year, and that was a good Michigan
Yes.
State team. And then Florida also, that was Bradley Beal's year. That was a really good Florida team. And we were just like, oh man, just wide eye, like we're gonna go out to compete. We don't care who we're playing against, but like after we won, we're like, oh, we got one more game. Won again, like, oh, we were in Arizona, like, man, we really going to the Final Four. Like, this is crazy. Like, it was just surreal. Like, you didn't know what was going on. You didn't know what was happening. You're just like, damn, I just get to keep playing. And then, you know, when you're in that big stage in the Final Four in New Orleans, we went to New Orleans that year. It was, like you said, you dream of it as a kid. You just never think you're going to make it. But like actually being in it, it was pretty surreal, because I mean, a lot of kids don't even make it to the tournament. So
Sure.
And how about that? Oh, sorry, because I got to ask this, because the Final Four, that open practice, you know, when the fans get to come in and watch you guys practice, and it's more shooting around, a lot of dunking, and more fanfare. How was that? Was that pretty cool?
Yeah, we played on like an elevated court, and so it's like, yeah, guys. You know, Reggie Miller came and we saw him, and like I said, like, you know, growing up watching the NBA, especially the Sonic stuff, you see like these old legends coming around, like you're like, damn, like this is big time. Like all the cameras, like you're like, it's all like a blur. Like you're just like, what is going on? Like you're just out there. The depth perception, first of all, and playing in a football arena is absolutely crazy. Like it's different, but the open practice, you're just out there. It's I mean, you're on the center stage, just elevated. You're above everybody. And you know, knowing Coach P, we thought we were actually about to get to it. Like we pressed right away when we practiced. We did that and then went to our practice right afterwards and pressed. But we found some local high school gym that let us get in there and get to it. But it was cool, man. It was fun just to get some shots up and, you know, hear the cheer from the fans, and, you know, Card Nation was behind us and they showed love. And that year was even crazier because we played Kentucky. So it was
that's what I wanted to. Yeah, I wanted to get into that. How much did that amplify that Final Four matchup, and how was it just being in the state of Kentucky, you know, for that week leading up to the game?
Oh man, for people who don't know, like Louisville, Kentucky it's like a gang, man. It's like Crips and Blood. Either one or the other, and like people, it's crazy, man. I didn't know it from Seattle. I didn't know anything about the rivalry. I mean, you know, Michigan State. It was crazy because it was the Final Four.
Yes.
I mean, you know, even and they had a squad. I mean, they had Anthony Davis that year. They had Terrence Jones, Marcus T, Ron Lamb. Like they just had it all. Like it was
Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson.
it was an uphill battle, but you know, we just enjoyed it. I mean, we were the underdogs the whole time, and you know, we enjoyed the battles and we enjoyed the process of it, and the fans were even turned up even more. They already turned up with the rivalry, but now it's a Final Four and a championship at stake. It was even crazier. So, you know, to experience that, you really get to see the rivalry, but you also get to see the love. Like you get to experience the true love that the fans have for you and shower you with. And that was one of the reasons why I came to Louisville in the first place, because of the love they show. And that was even to a bigger magnitude. And that's why I live here now. I mean, they just show so much love, man. It was amazing.
Now, my first year, we went to the Final Four. We lost to a Duke team, kind of similar. I mean, Elton Brand, Corey Maggette, Shane Battier, William Avery, Trajan Langdon, 5 lottery picks. I mean, it's like, so to be honest, we were just happy to be there that first time. It was like, oh, this is nice. You know, practice in front of the crowd, police escort to the game. Like, this is cool. You know, we were cameras and everything you mentioned. So, but that next year, we came back. It was like all business. It was a whole different mindset. We got a taste of it. And it was like, I think I want to cut those nets down. So for you, what was that mindset after you went to it the year before, that year coming back? What was the mindset for you and the team?
Oh, for sure. Like you said, we got a taste of it. it was a good experience. You know, you can celebrate all you want. Like, oh yeah, this is nice. Let's enjoy it. But that next year, we pretty much had our whole team coming back, and you know, and at that point, you know, Kentucky, everybody was going to the draft, and a lot of teams now, you know, it's a lot of one and dones at this time. We knew we had everybody coming back. We knew we had some good guys coming in as a class, and we were like, look, we know what it takes to get there. And everybody bought in. Everybody was on board about it. Everybody got, you know, was happy about it. But like, we can win this. Like, we have a team and we know the recipe now that we can actually do it. And I mean, we came together, and I mean, you know it, the brotherhood of a team of that magnitude is unbreakable. And I think as players, like, chemistry is one of the most important things a team can have. And when we had it, we had it. We weren't the most highly touted team. We didn't have all the draft picks, all the people on the draft board, but what we had a solid group of guys who knew how to play with, you know, with one another. And we knew our strengths, we knew our weaknesses, and we had a very unselfish group of guys who were like, we're going to put winning above everything else. And I think that started with the core group of guys. Like I told you, like myself, like, I don't care about the stats. Like, if I need to pass the ball the whole time for us to win, then that's what we're going to do. Like, and that's fine. And people understood that, and people accepted their roles. And that's why we did end up winning it, because people accepted their roles, and people accepted, like, all right, this is who we are, and this is what we need to do. And man, we had a magical season. It was crazy.
Can I ask what it was like to share a backcourt with Russ Smith?
It was worst of times and best of times. No, I love Russ, man. You know, before Russ, I had Preston Ells, and he was a dog on defense, and he really taught me the ropes of the press and everything. And then when Russ came in, it's just like something with the both of us, we clicked, man. Our personalities were so different, but they meshed so well. Like, me and Russ are neighbors now. And Russ is this energetic energizer bunny. Russ is going to stay up all night, play 2K all day. And Russ is going to party. Like myself, I'm going to chill, stay inside. I'm going to watch movies and that. But we on the court, man, we read each other like a book. I knew Russ was going to go for this steal right here. All right, I need to be here. Russ knew I like to gamble here. He's going to be right behind me in that spot. Like, what people are like, they watch and like, man, you guys suffocate people. It's like, I mean, we were together so much, and it was crazy how it worked on the court. Like, Russ was a bucket. He's a New York guard. I tell people this today, like, I don't know how the shots he took went in. Like, there's something about New York guards, the way they finish around the rim, their touch is just second to none. Like, some of the stuff they pull out, it's like, how did you even think of that move? And like, Russ knew me. It's like, I'm the guy who's going to calm everything down. I'm going to just run it. I'm going to give him free range. Hey, Russ, go get a bucket. All right, now it's time for me to bring it back in. We kind of had that. And on defense, we both were lightning quick guards. We both just ran around the court with our heads cut off. And we always had this thing that, like, all right, who's going to get the most steals? Like, I broke the school record for steals, and he broke it the next year. Like, it was like one of those things that, like, we just had a competition. Like, oh, I had 5 today. What you had? Like, something like that. And I love playing with Russ, man. You know, he's just a fun guy to be around. He was fun to play with. He gave Coach P a lot of headaches, but I love being around him. And he's a legend, man. That's why they retired his number.
Yeah, play it, man. You guys, I'm glad I didn't have to play against you. I'm glad I was watching and doing commentating, because woo, that press and the way that the effort that you guys gave on that defensive end was tough. I remember as well, like the night, that Monday, just that it was long. Like, the game was so late. Like, how was your nerves? Because I was like, let's play. I wanted to get the game going. Like, sitting around until 9 o'clock at night, that drove me crazy.
Oh, the championship games?
Yeah.
Oh, man, the worst. Like, it's, well, for us too, because it's like, we're just gonna watch film all day. So it's like, no, man, just let us get out there and play. Like just throw the ball up, let's go. And especially with the Final Four, like with all the festivities going around, you got family in town, you got friends, girlfriend, everything. Like everybody wants to see you, everybody wants to go out, everybody wants to do everything. You're like, nah, man, I gotta focus, I got a game. Like, but then you got media wants to talk to you, they want to do everything. And it's like, all right, it's like let's just go play, man. And you sit around all day. For me, I was just like, I try to just turn my phone, try to take a nap, man, try to go to sleep, and just try to shorten the day as much as possible. Which I mean, even I think for the championship, like you're there like 3-4 hours before because you have to do all the preparations. They got to tell you about all the TV timeouts and everything. But I mean, once you're in it, it feels like a blur because you're gonna get out there and play.
Yeah.
That game is gonna go by quick, and afterwards, it's just like when we won, it was still surreal to me. I was like, man, we don't got practice tomorrow. I was a senior. I was like, I ain't got to listen to coach tomorrow. We ain't got walkthrough, no shoot around, no film. So it was crazy.
Let's backtrack just a little bit, and because you guys have a revenge game on your way to the national championship. Duke had beat you guys earlier in the year, and then you guys get them in the tournament. But that actually turns out to be the Kevin Ware game with the injury that everybody that was watching remembers, and how gruesome it was. How do you guys go from being locked in at the moment and then that injury happening, and you see one of your brothers there that's obviously in a catastrophic type of injury? How do you refocus? What was the messaging there? How did you guys get refocused? How did you guys kind of rally around that and come back and just get out of that game?
Yeah, like you said, it was a revenge game for us. We lost to Duke early in the year in the battle for Atlantis, and we were missing Gorgie at the time, and we still took him, to the end. But also too, it's Duke. Like, you have your teams in college that like as you're growing up, you have your Duke, your North Carolinas, your Kansas, that you're like, all right, I want to play against those guys. Like, they're just a rich history. So playing against Coach K, who's this legend, we were already locked in for that. Like, all right, there's a lot on the line, chance to go to the Final Four. Let's do it. When Kevin goes down, it was kind of unbelievable moment. You see injuries all the time. Guys get hurt, guys tear something, guys break something. They're like, all right, like, dang, he'll get better. Let's get him off the court. All right, say a couple words, say a prayer for him, but you're going to keep playing. The injuries are a part of the game. That one was different just because of the way it looked. Like, and it was, like you said, it was one of our brothers. Like, Kevin was my roommate that year. And to turn around to kind of see it, it was like, what is that? Like bone cleared the skin. And it's like you don't see that. Like, you might see it in movies. You don't see it in person. And it was just kind of mesmerizing. Like, how the hell does that happen? And so, like, we just kind of, a couple people fell to the ground just in disbelief. And, everybody kind of credits us, like, how did you guys rally around that? Like, the Duke players too. Like, I don't know how they rallied to keep playing, because, like, to see that was just kind of traumatizing in itself. Like, like now in the back of their mind too, they're like, damn, that's something that can happen to me. Like, it was a simple play. Like, all he did was just close out, jump on a shot, and came down and broke his leg. It wasn't like he got hit or anything. It was, so for us, it was like, all right, we went into halftime, kind of got a chance to calm down. They told us he was all right. The word came back like, no, he's good. Like, we were like, all right, let's just go out there. I mean, it was a close game too at that point. At the halftime, it was still like a 4-point game. And for us, the message was, let's just play for him. Let's just, try to keep it together. Let's just go out there and do what we do. And things just started clicking, man. Shots just started going in. Block shots, steals, they started missing. And then we just started running, man. We just started running, playing our game, pushing every chance we got. Next thing you know, we're up by 20. It's like, whew. Now we can take a breath, like, all right, cool. Like, we did it. Like, you you get to that 1 minute mark, you're up by like 18 to something. You're like, all right, whew, now we can kind of like understand what's about to happen, where we're about to go. And I mean, it was a tough game just because we were so worried about Kevin. But once they came into halftime and kind of told us like, all right, he's all right. I don't know if they lied to us. They could have been telling us anything at that moment because we were definitely worried about him. But that kind of gave us a peace of mind to kind of collect ourselves and go back out there and finish it off.
And okay, now you win that game, and then you have what's it, Wichita State? You know, and you talking about good guard play. I mean, you got them, and then the Michigan game. I mean, hell, you got, you know, Hardaway, Trey Burke. Like, talk about like having to embrace those challenges, because that's not a walk in the park. Yeah, some great players you had to play against. So what was the game plan, and what was the kind of mindset playing against the Van Fleets and Trey Burks and those type of players in those next couple games?
Yeah, the Wichita State game was tough just because Wichita State was a team that just likes to grind it out. Like we were a defensive minded team, but we like to push the pace. Like we're going to get out and run. They were like, no, we're going to keep everything in this half court, and you're not getting in the lane. And that was kind of Russ and I as bread and butter. We got in the lane, created havoc for defenses, either getting to the rim or kicking it out for threes. And they were like, no, we're going to put all 5 guys in this lane and you're not going anywhere. And you know, they were a tough team because they can score also, like you said. So that was a tough thing for us. But, you know, Coach P made one of the craziest moves to fans. He put our walk-on in, Tim Henderson, for Russ Smith. Russ was struggling that game. And like I said, they took us both out of our game and made us shoot some tough shots, and we weren't making them. And Tim, our walk-on, and this one I said Coach P treats everybody the same, threw him in the game. He knocked down 2 clutch threes to bring us back in the game. And, you know, then he subbed Russ back in, and we kind of took over the rest and sealed the deal. But I mean, that moved. If he didn't put Tim in, we lose that game 100%. But that was huge. And then, like you said, that next game we played against Michigan, who had Trey Burke, Tim Hardaway, Glenn Robinson, Mitch
McGarry. Yeah.
And I mean, when I tell you, like, we didn't have any of the people on the draft boards, they had everybody in the draft board. That team was like, these are all NBA prospect draft board players. And that whole year, Russ and I's thing was, we felt like we were the best backcourt in the nation. And we felt like we can play anybody, and we felt like we can go at anybody. And that whole year, it was us and Michigan as kind of like the top backcourts in the nation. And it was like, all right, we get the chance to prove it. And at that time, Trey was playing out of his mind.
Yeah.
Like, he just hit a big shot against Kansas the night before to send them into the championship game. And he came out the gate and had 5 quick points. Luckily, we got him in foul trouble, and he went to the bench. But then Spike Aldridge came out of nowhere and made every shot. So it's like, damn. But, you know, we made our run and came back. And, you know, I had one of my games where I just felt like I can do everything out there, whether that was scoring, getting to the rim, getting those steals. I was running around the court with my head cut off, just trying to be in every single play that I could, just trying to make an impact. And Coach P told me that game, it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and I'm out there just guarding Trey full court, guarding Tim full court, guarding Spike full court, just running around trying to do everything. He goes, son, you need to get in better shape. Why are you tired? Like, you need to get in better shape. He's like, and I'm like, dude, you don't see me doing it here. And I knew that was, and he told me after the game, he was like, I just try to find anything I could to try to keep pushing you. And that, I mean, that's a sign of a great coach, to try to find anything they could to keep pushing you. And I'll never forget that. And so I was out there just running around, just trying to dive on the floor, get the back end steals. But yeah, like I said, playing against those guards really elevated our play. And, you know, shout out to Luke Hancock too, and the rest of the guys They really had step up game, Shane. But we pulled it off at the end, man, and it was magical.
Yeah, so I had Spike Albrecht down here to say, like, you know, what comes to mind when I say Spike Albrecht, but you kind of hit on that. But I always felt like I was watching that game. Coach Patino was like, okay, you guys got this little white shooter that you can throw in, like, here comes ours, and we'll get Hancock in there, and then it like neutralizes what was going on. It's like a checkmate, like between the two coaches, and then we're just back to square.
Yeah, it kind of evened out. Luke stepped up big and made his threes also against them. So I'll take Luke any day.
For as much as you've talked about just wanting to be remembered as a winner, wanting to go down as a winner, what did that national championship mean to you? Just from that perspective of, I want my name associated with winning, and that's kind of like, that is the mountaintop of college basketball.
I mean, like I told you, after we won, I didn't believe it. Like, it was still unreal to me, just because, like you said, that's the mountaintop of college, like to win a national championship. And it's like, the game's over. You're like, wait, what do I do now? Like, I'm so used to how I lived the last 4 years of, all right, you go home, watch ESPN, watch whoever wins the championship, like, damn, we could have beat them, or, oh, we beat them before. And to actually be that team, you're like, this is crazy. So to be remembered as a national champion, man, is amazing. And to be, you know, with the greats to ever play college basketball, and to get that team success was amazing for me. And it's, you know, something I carry around every day, man. It's just, I'm, you know, thankful for it. Thank God for just putting me in that position. And, you know, hats off to the rest of my teammates, man, because I definitely wouldn't have been there without them. And it was just an amazing journey and a process.
And how was it, like, listening and watching the one shining moment, like in the arena on the screen? Because as a kid, like, I always dreamed about being that one shining moment. And me, I mean, I cried like a baby. I mean, it was the first time in my life I cried and the tears felt good, and I just couldn't stop them. But, like, can you kind of let the fans in on this? Like watching that one shining moment in the tournament, I mean, in the actual arena with your family, with your brothers. Can you let us in on that experience?
Hey, man, I was just hoping that I can make a cameo when they put that up there. I was like, man, I just hope they just show something, man, maybe a layup or something. Because, I mean, like you said, man, that's such a historic moment, man. It's whenever you watch college basketball, you think of one shining moment. And, you know, they put a clip of me in there, man. I'm hugging Russ, Wayne. Just like you said, man, I'm just so happy. Just getting a chance to, and like you said, you're on that, like I said, you're on that elevated court. So you're above everybody. So you just feel like you're on this pedestal, man. You just feel like you're on top of the world, and you're with the people you just blood, sweat, and tears, man, all the time. Like, all the running, all the pressing, everything finally felt worth it. Like, you finally got something out of it. You felt accomplished. And, man, seeing I think I had like 2 cameos in it. I was hyped. But, man, I'm in one shining moment, man. I'm yelling, and I'm like, oh, that's the dopest thing I've ever seen, man. And it was cool, man, just to experience that with the people that you spent damn near all the time with. And me leaving Seattle, going out to Louisville, leaving family, you know, missing birthdays, missing weddings, all the sacrifice that you put into it, man. It felt, you know, some type of reward for it. Like, you know, you didn't do it for nothing. So that was it.
You know, you can still watch those one shining moments on YouTube. If you guys want to reminisce later, you can watch your years on YouTube. Yeah, check them out.
I drive the views up, trust me.
Yeah, just on loop, just having on loop.
And let me ask this, my final question is, Magic Johnson, he grabbed me by my face, and this picture actually made it in Sports Illustrated. You know, he grabbed me by my face after this national championship game. He said, congratulations, feel good. He said, but it won't really hit you until you get a little older. He said, you're going to appreciate it more and more the older you get. All right. Now, you 10 years out. How is that appreciation now after you've been away from it from 10 years?
it's crazy because now I get to enjoy it with my kids. You know, I have 2 daughters, 8 and 5. And now when I go around Louisville, people always come up to me, man, I remember that 2013 year. I remember that 2013 year. And to get to experience that, for them to get to see the love that, you know, they know me as dad. So for them to get to see the fans show me that love, it's truly amazing to get that chance to experience it with them. So that was one of the things that I look back on. And now, like you said, I'm 10 years removed from it. The fans are still showing me the same love they showed me when I was here. And now they get a chance to experience that also. That's really the big thing for me.
Well, get used to it, because I'm over 20 years out and I still get it when I go back. So get used to it, baby.
No, and nobody cares when I go back to IU. So I have that if you guys ever want that perspective. Well, Peyton, it's been a pleasure having you on, and we really appreciate it. Last thing with we're gonna have a big contingency of Louisville fans listening to this. 10 years ago, you guys won the national championship. That seems like a very long time to these Louisville fans for this particular season that they're going through right now. Any words of encouragement for the Cardinal faithful that will be listening?
They know I love them. They know that I'm gonna help out whatever I can with the program, with the guys, but know that we struggled too. I mean, it wasn't to, this magnitude, but my first 2 years, we lost in the first round of the tournament, and we had our struggles, but they stuck with us, and they stuck with us through the good times and the bad times, and we came out on top. So I would say just stick with these guys, man. Kenny's a great guy, great coach. He has a great coaching staff and the players. It's not like they're sandbagging, man. They're working hard and they're trying to get these wins for them. So just stay patient, man, as long as they can, but continue to support them and be there. They're kids, man. At the end of the day, they look out, and unfortunately, they're in the social media era where they got to see all of it. So just stick with them, man. They'll pull through, and they'll bring some good times back to them.
Peyton, we appreciate the time, man. We can't thank you enough. This has been fun sitting down and reminiscing and talking to you through this. So, much love to you for coming on and chopping it up with us.
Oh, man, thank you guys for having me on, man. This been fun, man. Take me down memory lane. I really appreciate it.
All right, champ. The champ is here.
Mateen, that was a ton of fun. Like, I love talking to winners, and that's what Peyton Siva is, and that's what continued to come out. And as I was doing research, I mentioned it in the pod. It just kept coming up over and over again that this guy, it wasn't about stats. This guy was like the consummate point guard, much like yourself, that just wanted to lead his team to victory. And I thought that really came through in the pod as well.
Oh, 100%, man. He was like a breath of fresh air. And I could tell why every coach he played for loves him. I could tell why he was everybody's favorite teammate, because it's that. And I can tell why he won a national championship. It's that, all of that. You mix all of that up in the pot, and that's what makes him who he is. So, man, what a great time. I watched him from afar for years, man, and to be able to connect with him, that was great. And I didn't tell him on there, but I was happy they beat Michigan. At the time I was doing TV for CBS, and we were in Atlanta actually at that Final Four. And, he was and some of the Michigan fans are ragging on me, man. And he was able to pull the team through and win that game. So he's one of my favorite of all time, for sure, just because he beat my arch rival.
Yeah, one of the most entertaining recent, as in the last 10 years, is a highly entertaining game too.
Oh,
so,
yes.
It was fun. I need to go back and watch it again. But again, I appreciate you being on this with me, man. We have a lot of fun. It's always fun to get another point guard here and have you guys going back and forth. And I'm just honored to be a part of it, my man.
Let's get it, baby. College basketball talk. Come on, baby. You got to be here. This is what you want to watch, baby.
Thanks again to our guest, Peyton Siva. Thanks, as always, to my co-host, Mateen Cleaves. Thanks to our partners at 19.9. The episode is produced by Truth Plus Media. You can get more at truthplusmedia.com. I'm Josh Barnett. We'll see you next time when we run it back.